Hello, and I'm LJ, and welcome to Blog Sprout. And if you watched my month 7 income report from July 2022, you'll remember that I purchased an expired domain for $37 to attempt to acquire some backlinks. So I'm going to show you where I got my domain, how I purchased it, and what I was looking for when I bought my domain. So I bought my domain through expireddomains.net. And what we can see in expireddomains.net is in the top corner, there's a search bar. Where's my cursor? So let's say I'm in the fishing niche. I could just look for domains that I'd like to have fish in them. And we're going to see a ton of results. But the important thing that I want you to look at here is this status column. So anything that's listed as available literally means that you can grab this URL on your own provider, whether it's GoDaddy or I purchased mine through Hostinger because that's my hosting platform. So we can see that there are some results that are available, but when we look at the actual metrics, we're not seeing anything. This BL stands for the number of external backlinks, and DP, they call it domain pop, essentially is how many domains are referring. So we could choose to order this by the domain pop. So what we can see here is that there's a couple examples of phishing domains that have pretty good domain pop. It's definitely odd when you see a result like 9.5 thousand and 0 backlinks. That doesn't quite make sense. But again, that one's a make offer, so we're looking for these things that are available. And what you'll notice here is that these are actually considered deleted. So you can go through and just look at the deleted domains to filter out these results. So that's in the top corner. And then if you want to search, you go to the show filter. And let's say it contains fish. And now we're going to apply filter. And now we're going to see only results that are available. And again, I have it in order of this domain pop. I could also choose to do it in terms of backlink, but I'm looking for a decent balance. And it's not always about quantity because, say this Gulf Coast kayakfishing.com, it only has 12 domains. Maybe those domains are pretty useful and insightful. So this is how you can find a good list of domains that are the cheapest you can find that may or may not have some backlinks. But what do we do once we have that information? We shouldn't just go off on a whim and decide we want to use that domain. So a site to do that is Wayback Machine. And Wayback Machine allows you to at least gain some information about this backlink. So let's pick one. Let's take a look at it. Let's look for something, howtofishvideos.com. That's actually pretty interesting, not a bad domain, and it's available. So let's look up in here, howtofishvideos.com. And now what we're going to see is some historic information of this domain. So it looks like it was mostly active in 2012. So I'm going to click 2012 and we'll see that it was crawled by this Wayback Machine way back when in 2012. So let's see what happens if we select March 20th, 2012. What shows up, if anything? So I'm not an expert on this Wayback Machine. It just gives you an idea of where this came from, how long it's been around, and potentially how long it has been active for. There are other tools. A lot of people use Ahrefs and SEMrush to get information on the particular link that you're looking for, and I do use the free version of SEMrush and Ubersuggest, which I'll show you to take a look at this domain and just give a quick little analysis of this domain and whether or not I think it's worth purchasing if you're someone that's in the fishing niche. So All right, so what we're seeing here is actually like a screenshot of howtofishvideos.com. And if we see here, there's 2012 was definitely when this was launched, because we can see the most recent articles posted at that date were on, looks like March 20th, March 19th. It's not a great site, but it's a site nonetheless. So what we just want to do is see if we can look around and get any information about what the site was, what the site was about, if any of the content is related to like the niche. So if you've been following Adobe Flash, you know that a couple years ago, Adobe Flash was killed. So it looks like this site is completely useless now. This person, whoever owned it, doesn't own it anymore, simply because it's a deleted domain. But the videos that were there don't even exist. But like, if you go to this Wayback Machine, you can pull up a lot of information. We can see that they have a bunch of different categories. They have tags. They have a contact page. They have a sitemap. You might be able to look at the sitemap and find the specific links that were part of their website, so you can try to duplicate the content, because what you're looking to do here is find information about that site to see if it fits in with your niche. Ideally, I think the best approach to try to acquire backlinks is to find out what pages were most backlinked to and try to recreate them to the best of your ability, and redirect that specific URL to the new URL on your page. I think that's the most effective and most efficient way to generate these backlinks through this process. So as you can see, it couldn't find the contact page, but we could continue to look through that Wayback Machine and find more and more. Let's just see if the sitemap, if I can pull up the sitemap. And it looks like I can't pull up the sitemap. But either way, we get an idea that the site was fairly legitimate. It looks like they had real videos on how to fish. Obviously, if you were to get this domain, you really should try to duplicate or at least have some content that's already video formatted, because then, Google will just see it as being a one-to-one with the old domain and your new domain. So they had a privacy policy. Again, there's a lot you could attempt to look through, and that's through the Wayback Machine. What we're also going to look is through SEMrush. So I'm going to do howtofishvideos.com. We're just going to take a look at what SEMrush spits out. So according to SEMrush, it has an authority score of 11. It has 94 backlinks with 60 referring domains. Because it really hasn't been active, it doesn't have any organic traffic, it doesn't have any organic keywords, but let's take a look at what we can learn from this backlink profile. So if we click the backlinks, we see that most of them are text, most of them are follow. Follow are very good versus no follow. And then we'll see that there's a lot coming from this globe.net. So what it's showing here is it's ranking it by page authority score. And it's saying the top one, the globe.net, has 34 backlinks. But as we can see, if we look at the / it's the world's most visited web pages. The world's most visited web pages. That's what all of them say. So from what I'm seeing here, those aren't really legitimate or quality backlinks. But let's just filter out by all of the follow and see if those are the same results. So yep, it looks like everything advertise, internet advertise. Those aren't looking like good backlinks. But let's take a look at what Uber Suggest says. So in the Uber Suggest dashboard, we're going to go to the left and click backlinks, and I'm going to do backlink overview. Now I'm going to put in this howtofishvideos.com and see what we get. Has a domain authority of 5, a drastically different backlink of 3,800, and it looks like there were some backlinks that came in 2019. That seems like it could be a little spammy, because what we saw in the previous, in the Wayback Machine, was it being much earlier and didn't seem to be very active recently. But let's take a look at the backlinks. So most of them have a domain authority of 0 to 1, and it's showing there's one domain of 91 to 100. So what we can see here, which I don't like to see, is the spam score is really high on some of the highest domain authority sites. So from what I'm seeing between these two sites is that although your site might be really relevant to howtofishvideos.com, this probably isn't a very good domain to use, because it seems like there was a lot of spam and there weren't really any quality backlinks. You're really looking for things that seem organic, that seem trustworthy, that seem like people truly wanted to promote your content or the content of the old domain because it was in fact good. So let's just take a look at one more, and I'll walk you through this process again and see if we can find something that's a bit more interesting. So I want something with a domain pop. This is interesting. Fly Fishers Society. So if you're in fishing, you could have a fly fishing subsection. It could be in fly fishing, but let's look that up. So let's go to the Wayback Machine again. Okay. And flyfishingsociety.com. Was that right? Fly Fishers Society. I already forgot. Fly Fishers Society. All right, so let's look at the history again. So we're going to browse history, and all right, it looks like it wasn't very active, so there might not be anything of value. But let's look at 2018 and see what we can find from Wayback Machine and see if it found any interesting information. So there's one snapshot on August 6, 2018. So let's take a look at that snapshot and see if we can find anything of value. All right, so it's pretty bland site. Doesn't look like looks like they were selling courses. So that's something to keep in mind. But it's not super content driven. It's more of a forum connecting, as Fly Fisher Society kind of would lend itself to be. So let's look back at the Wayback Machine, and let's take a look and see if the sitemap is here. Yeah, so if we see, we can find all the sitemap or all the URLs through this sitemap link, and it will find all the URLs through the different years. And it looks like in 2021, most everything is the forum. So if you're looking to start a forum on fly fishing, this looks like it could be a viable option. So if we go to URLs, it'll show us all the URLs as well that were linked to this domain. So there's a lot that goes into picking a domain. But let's take a look at Fly Fishers Society. On SEMrush. So SEMrush gives it a authority score of 14, looking a little better before. 149 referring domains with 2.6 thousand backlinks. It seems a little odd, but here we're seeing that 1.8 of them are no follow. That's not usually a good sign. But there still are 840, according to SEMrush, that are follow. So let's take a look at the follow, because that's what we're more interested in. And if we filter by the page authority, we see that this Gangster League that doesn't look like a very good link. Yeah, these top links that SEMrush is throwing back aren't very good. But let's take a look at Uber Suggest and let's see. And see if Uber Suggest is the same thing. So it gives it a domain authority of 8.4 thousand backlinks, which is a lot. It seems to show more with higher domain authority, but what we're seeing here is the spam score is slightly better than on the other domain we were looking at. So we're just going to take a quick look. Storyboard, sleep paralysis project. That doesn't sound related. Yeah, so just on a pretty quick look here, it looks like this isn't going to provide any valuable backlinks. Of course, when it comes to selecting your backlinks, so much comes to the cost-benefit analysis, and you have to assume the risk that's being taken. I fortunately found one that just had a couple backlinks from like forums and things like that I thought would just help give a little bit of credibility to my site. And at the moment, I actually haven't duplicated the content because there wasn't a lot of information out there about the old domain. But I do have a category that's just like I said, if you have a fishing site, you could have fly fishing. And I do have a category that's around the previous topic of the old site. So I felt like it would be a good test to see if it had any impact on my site. So once you have the domain name, you can go to your provider and we can just double check just so you can see that these domains are in fact available. And remember, on that expireddomains.net, you're looking for deleted domains and you're looking for things that have a status of available. At least that's how I did it. And I think that's absolutely the cheapest route to do it. You could, of course, go to other providers that have these expired domains, but it's going to cost you likely thousands of dollars. Or over $1,000 for a quality link. Of course, you're paying for the quality of it, but here you have to do a little bit more digging and you have to be a little bit lucky to find the right domain at the right time, because it's possible someone just slipped and lost the domain because they didn't, re-register for the next year, and you could maybe come in and just take it right in time and acquire those backlinks. So if we're trying to look to buy the domain, I use Hostinger, so we're going to go to the domains, and I'm going to go to the get a new domain, and I'm going to enter, let's say, how to fishvideos.com and see if that's available. And as we saw, it is available, and it's actually available for $9 a year. And the other one was flyfisherssociety.com, and hopefully we should see the same results. So here we go. It is in fact available. You can purchase it, and if you were to go through this process and seem to find something that had good backlink profile, most of them being follow links, having a low spam score, then you have a good shot of being able to gain some traction through a backlink using this method. But remember, you do want to do your due diligence to find out what the site was previously used for, where these backlinks come from, and whether it really is something you want to direct to your site, if you want to direct that traffic and that backlink to your site. The good news is you can always remove it, but once you have that domain, you're going to need to set up a 301 redirect to the specific pages that you have created or you want the traffic from those backlinks to be pointing to. So there you have it. That's the general process that I went through to get the backlink profile of an expired domain for, just under $40 for 2 years. And we'll see how it impacts, if it impacts at all. But from what I've read and the videos I've watched, it doesn't seem like these backlinks have an immediate benefit. They usually take some time to have an effect. So it makes it really difficult to know down the line if that impact is due to just the content that's better ranking or the backlinks, but from my research, it doesn't seem like it'll hurt my site at the moment. But I will keep an eye out on this because I do think that a lot of people are trying this method, and Google's going to pick up on people that are getting backlinks from old domains that aren't really relevant, that are kind of shady. So you really want to make sure that the old site matches kind of what you're doing now, is relevant. You create the content that was similar to the old backlinks so that Google can read the pages with the backlinks and understand that, okay, this new site that's being linked to is actually valuable to the user here, rather than just using a backlink from the Boston Globe or whatever it is to direct to your site, even though they're in completely different niches. So hope this was helpful. Hopefully you can maybe find a expired domain on expireddomains.net, and maybe it'll help you in your indexing journey, because backlinks definitely are important. I don't think they're the end-all be-all or the most important factor, but I do think they help keeping your authority and the longevity of your site at the highest standard it can be. So thanks for watching this video. I'll have the links to all of these resources down below. And I'm LJ, this is Blog Sprout, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.